Well, hello, race fans. Welcome to a new edition of the USF Pro Insider. My name is Rob Howden. It is episode number 90. It is Thursday, December the 18th here. Almost done with 2025 and really only 2 months away from the start of the season, at least for the drivers in USF Juniors in 2026. They'll kick things off at the spring training event at Homestead Miami Speedway. Looking forward to getting out there for a triple header for juniors and, of course, USF 2000 and USF Pro 2000 on the racetrack, plus content days for all three series. So a very busy weekend in the middle of February, but we have essentially 2 months before we get to there. So a lot of off season, still a lot of testing. And of course, a couple of guests joining me here today that will be here from the USF Juniors program last year, one returning for a sophomore year, one moving on to USF 2000. We'll have Maddie Colleran from Zanella Racing and Thomas Nordquist from D-Force Racing joining me as well. We're going to dive into this one. I'm looking forward to, of course. But before we do, obviously, a rough day for motorsports. We are here with obviously heavy hearts following the death of Greg Biffle and his family in a tragic plane accident today down in North Carolina. Obviously, if you've seen social media, the outpouring of emotion. Greg was definitely a special individual, not only behind the wheel, but everything he did with his humanitarian efforts afterwards as well. So very sad news for motorsports to start off the day here today. But we will push on. As we know, everybody wants to get back to racing and focus on what we all do together as a family. Maddie and Thomas joining us as well, as I said. But let's get things underway first. What I've been kind of doing here in these shows, which will be made into a podcast afterwards. Yes, we're live on Facebook and YouTube right now, but we'll also take the audio here. I'll put that in podcast form for those of you who love podcasts. It's also available. All of my podcasts available on the USF Pro Championships app. So just scroll to down on the opening page. All the podcasts are there as well. I'm essentially grabbing the drivers who are announcing, because we're going to start seeing a flood of driver announcements, I believe, over the next number of weeks. There's only 2 months till the start of USF Juniors, and I expect at least 20 to 22 drivers, and we will have a couple that have been announced so far. So look for a lot of driver announcements coming for USF Juniors and all the other categories as well. Most recently, Jacob Douglas from Pabst Racing. Pabst Racing's been doing a good job knocking out their announcements. Jacob Douglas will be back in the USF Pro 2000 category with Pabst Racing. Had a strong season last year. He'll be back for his sophomore season. But as a rookie this year, fifth in points, one win in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Where did he end up with? 8 total podiums, 4 over the last 5 races. Went on a tear at the very end of the season. 12 top 10s, a really strong run for the driver from New Zealand. I expect a lot out of Jacob Douglas. He's going to be back again. Title contender out of the gate. No doubt about that. The other is JT Hoskins, a little bit different of an approach for JT. Ran last year in USF Juniors. Tried to do that weekend in USF 2000 at Road America, but got in that big accident coming through the kink. He's going to jump over to USF Pro 2000. He's essentially announced a 2-year commitment with Jay Howard Driver Development. So a big jump up for JT Hoskins, the driver out of Florida, going all the way to USF Pro 2000 this coming year. These drivers with him are coming up next. We're not going to make the big jump. In fact, Maddie Colleran is going to stay in USF Juniors. I love that move for her. And Thomas Nordquist making the jump up into the USF 2000 category. Let's bring them in here right now, waiting in the wings. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Maddie, I appreciate it. Thomas, you as well.
Thank you for having us.
Great to have you guys here. Maddie, I want to start with you because both you and Thomas are very interesting in terms of your careers, right? So many young drivers, as we know, and you guys know, come through karting. They start when they're very young, 5, 6, 7 years of age. They work through karting. They jump into the school series, find their way to the USF Pro Championships, and we have some kind of a background from them. Maddie, you've only been racing for a couple of years, 2023. Tell me this. What was it that brought you into racing, and what made you say, what happened where you went, hey, I want to go become a race car driver?
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know how it kind of happened. I guess it was just because of like watching F1 and just going to all the races, and then also growing up kind of not, I started karting kind of late, but like around motorsports, kind of just growing up in that atmosphere.
Yeah. Did your family, did your dad, your mom like racing, or who did you watch Formula One with?
Yeah, my whole family's into F1, so that kind of influenced it. Yep. And then I also used to drive dirt bikes with my brothers when I was growing up, so that kind of influenced it to make the jump to karting when I was a little older.
So you had that feeling for the throttle, right? You're able. Listen, motocross is all about throttle, which is great. So you had that feeling in the back there. What made you make that first jump? Where in your mindset, you're are you 15 or 16 now?
16.
You're 16. So what, you started when you were like 14. What was it? Did you go to the go-kart track? What was it that where'd you make your entry into racing?
Yeah, so I just made the jump. Like I went to a local karting track and I just tried it out in like one of the karts they had there, and I just
Yep.
loved it. So yeah, that really hooked me onto it.
That threw the fuel on the fire, and all of a sudden you took off from there.
Yeah.
And it did do a little bit of karting though, right? Local karting. Did you do any national at all? I know that you ran around Ohio. There's some great tracks. Obviously, Ohio's becoming one of the hotbeds for karting right now. Brand new track up in a couple of new tracks up near Cleveland. Where did you get started, and how many years did you do karting?
Yeah, so I started at a track called Thompson Kart Raceway, and I kind of moved around Ohio and also Pitt in Pittsburgh. I mostly did local races, but I did do one national race before I made the jump to cars, which was pretty short after that.
Yeah, you kind of were ready to go car racing for sure. Where did you make your jump into car racing? Was it did you go to a school? I can't remember exactly what you did as your first jump into cars.
Yeah, so my first jump was the Lucas Oil Racing School.
Yeah.
I started it at Mid Ohio, which was the basic form of the schooling, and then I also went to Sebring, which was for the advanced in
Awesome.
November.
Good stuff. Thomas, let's come to you. Same question, because I know you don't have a big karting resume as well. What was it that made you say, hey, listen, you know what? I could be a doctor. I could be this. I could be whatever. No, I want to be a race car driver. Where was that switch for you?
Yeah. 3 of my cousins up in South Dakota, they all do dirt oval and stuff. So I grew up going to I-80 Speedway and watching them run late mods and all that kind of stuff. So I've always loved being around racing and cars and stuff. It didn't happen until my sophomore year of college.
Okay.
I ended up crashing a motorcycle, and my dad was like, yeah, you're never getting back on one of those, but I'm not gonna be able to slow you down. So let's go get you some like actual schooling.
Okay.
So we looked around, we found Skip Barber, and it started as just a kind of a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Doing their like 3-day coaching in the Mustangs at Sebring.
Okay.
Went down, did it, absolutely fell in love with it. So by I think the second day of that, I signed up for the 2-day advance. And it was a week later, so I flew home, flew back like 3 days later. Did that. One of the coaches said I really had some talent if I ever thought about doing, their F4 or anything. And at the time, I'd only seen like clips and stuff on Instagram and TikTok of Formula One cars and Indy cars and stuff. And I was like, that is wild. Like, I don't know how those guys do it. And so I went out to COTA for their end of the season, and it's 3 days of testing there. And I absolutely fell in love with the car, fell in love with racing even more. So I signed up for their series, and I think it was by the 3rd or 4th race, I got a podium at NOLA Motorsports Park.
Yep.
And right then and there, I was like, I got to keep doing this.
That's an even more unique approach than I think a lot of people, Maddie said that she watched Formula One. A lot of guys we've talked to watch Drive to Survive, or they saw Formula One and said, I want to try this. You went from the motocross to the Mustang, then go, man, it's fun driving these cars.
Yeah.
Then you found Formula One after that?
Yeah. I mean, I've known about Formula One and stuff, but I never thought of myself as doing open wheel racing or anything.
So you dove into it. And listen, so when you went from the Mustang to the Formula car, was that more of a, hey, I don't want to drive that Mustang anymore, I want to be in this car from now on?
Yeah, I mean, the Mustang was my first time ever in a race car on an actual racetrack. So it was just opening doors from there. So I got in the Mustang. I was like, oh, this is sweet. Hopped in the F4. I was like, this is even sweeter. Like, I love this.
Right? I love it. Maddie, let's talk a little bit about the off season here right now as well. I know we were able to get Maddie right in the middle of, I know you're studying for finals right now, all the exams you've got going on. What's the off season been like for you? We finished off the season in August in Portland. There's been a lot of testing. I know you guys have been on the track quite a bit. The Academy had test days at Sebring and Homestead just last week and the week before. What have you been doing the last 4 months, Maddie? Has it been all schoolwork? Have you been working out? Has it been sim time? What have you kept yourself busy with over the last 4 months?
Yeah, it's been a little mix of everything. Obviously a lot of schoolwork, but I've just been trying to I've been on the sim a lot, training on the sim, like each track before Homestead and Sebring especially, and then also just like, working out, just training before looking ahead for each session, really.
What does your workout regime look like? I read somewhere that you were a competitive swimmer. Is that something you're still doing?
Yeah, I'm not really doing it anymore. It's
Yeah.
interfering a little bit with racing.
Yeah, why would you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I signed with PitFit, so that's a nice program that's like really helping me and training me for whenever I get in the next session or whenever I get in the car next. It's really helping me out.
Yeah, it's a real motorsports focused program, isn't it? I know the guys are over, with Jim Leo over at Pitfit. A lot of guys are there. They really put you through the ringer in a lot of like kind of motorsports focused workouts. Is it? Have you gotten used to it, or was it a little tougher out of the gate?
It was a little tough. At the start, yeah, it was a little tough. And then, but it helped me a lot to know what I need to work on, especially for like being able to be developed for the car, like to not get tired during racing, fatigued. It'll really help me with the overall driving.
One thing I find interesting, and it'll be a little bit different for Thomas because he's getting into a new race car. The off-season testing you're doing now is in the same juniors car that you ran all year long, right? So how much different do you feel the training is now or the testing is now? Last year, of course, preseason, you were kind of getting a feel for the race car, right? You dove into the deep end in USF Juniors. How much different is it now? Are you just fine-tuning things now when you're testing the juniors car with Zanella?
Yeah, it's way different, especially compared to the beginning of the year. I remember when I first jumped in the car, after that first session, I was like really sore, like my neck and everything.
Right.
And it's a lot better now with being physically like more fit. But yeah, now it's just about fine tuning for like pushing that extra step for this next year.
Can you believe how far you've come in 1 year?
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe it.
Right. Thomas, let's come to you. Same questions first and foremost. What have you been doing over the last 4 months? Are you still in school? Give me the scoop on workouts, testing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I just finished up my semester at UNO. Just taking online classes. So those just finished up last week.
Okay.
Just been working out, a lot of sim work, like 4 to 5 hours a day, just different tracks, official races, stuff like that. And then a couple test days. We had the postseason out at IMS, and then
Fall Combine, yep,
and then Mid Ohio right before that, and the Oval right after that. So that was a good month of training right there. And then just the academy out of Miami and Sebring.
Can I ask you the question about jumping to the new car? It's obvious it's not the same jump as if a driver were going from, let's say, USF 2000 up to Pro 2000, but there is a significant amount of horsepower difference. The brake package is different. What was the feel for you jumping from the juniors car into that quicker USF 2000 car?
I mean, you definitely felt the speed difference. Yep. I did get the chance to run the 2000 at Road America last season, so it wasn't brand new to me. It was mainly just focusing on, being able to warm up the tires quicker and really getting to the limit of the lateral G.
Yeah, that's it, right? Exactly that. Maddie, let's come back to it. Let's talk 2025. Before we start looking forward to next year, let's talk about that first year. I know one of the things when I sat down and talked to Naka Zanella about you and the first year coming in and your lack of experience, he said, don't worry about Maddie. She's not going to make any mistakes. She's here trying to finish laps and finish races, and she's going to get faster and faster. And you did. I loved it because every weekend I watched where you started and where you finished, and the amount of growth you had throughout the weekend was amazing. What I loved at the end of the season was you were the only driver to complete every lap in USF Juniors last year. Even your championship-winning teammate, Leonardo Scorpioni, wasn't able to get that done. He had an issue with mechanical at NOLA. Was that the primary goal for you for 2025? I just need to go out there, get as many laps as I can, get a look at all these racetracks. Was that the kind of focus, just stay consistent?
Yeah, I think that was like my main goal was to just get laps done. Obviously, since my lack of experience, I wasn't able to like really fight with cars up in the top or middle pack as much, just to get as many laps as I can done and just to get like more seat time every single time. And yeah, 2025 is just like a whole year of learning, and just getting more laps done was really something that was on my goal.
Is there a race weekend that you would point to? Because I have one. Is there one of the weekends you would point to and say, man, that was kind of my breakthrough weekend? This is where I really kind of stepped up and took my game to the next level.
Yeah, I think it would have to have been Road America.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so exciting when we went into quali and then I qualified 13th. It was just like kind of shocking. I
Yeah.
was honestly thought the live timing was broken. So
Do you like that track? Is it or was it just that you had driven so many races and had enough tests, and by that point you were really maybe starting to get comfortable?
yeah, it was a little mix of both. Just I was really comfortable with the car and then everything else. I really began to understand everything. I think it's also the track. Like I really love that track. It's just amazing.
Me too.
And like there's so much like top speed and it's just amazing track to drive.
Was learning, and Thomas, I'll ask you this question as well later. Was learning the racetracks one of the tougher things? I know we had, testing. You've been on, obviously you said before, at Mid Ohio with the Lucas Oil program. Was learning new tracks a big one? Like going out to Portland, you weren't able to test there before. Was that tough going out to a track like Portland and learning it brand new? Maddie, we'll start with you on that.
No,
What was Portland like?
yeah, it was a little hard. Because it's a whole different track compared to like other tracks. Like, and then there's a heavy braking zone in turn one. You have to get like it's really really technical in turn one. During the races, I just tried to stay back a little bit because I didn't want to like risk anything. But I mean, the track was a little hard to understand and to like really just like develop through the weekend.
I agree. It seems simple, Portland does, but there's so many intricacies about having to hit the right points of that track. Thomas, let's come to you about that, about 2025. You mentioned the fact that you ran Skip Barber, so there's a bunch of tracks that you had been on. Last year, of course, 25, your first time in USF Juniors. You obviously got the speed going up at the end of the season. You and I talked midseason because you had speed all year long. Let's be real. You'd qualify really well, but for some reason, something always happened around you where you were getting collected in the incidents. You made a couple minor mistakes yourself, and I'm sure you'd say that. But so many times I figured this is going to be Thomas's top 10 weekend. And midway through the race, did you just feel like you just couldn't get out of the way last year?
Yeah, there's a lot that, I'd have a good qualify near like the top 10 or in the top 10. And then I'd get out there, start having a good race. And all of a sudden I'd see a car coming sideways at me. And I'm like, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
And then like the next race, it'd make it like 4 more laps later. And then, there'd be a car sitting right in front of me. And I'm like, all right, like, come on.
Please. I felt the same way for you.
Yeah, there's a couple, but yeah, I think towards the end of the season, it really picked up to where it was more consistently near the top 10. And I think that kind of helped, stay out of all the stuff that happens in the back of the grid.
Agreed. Yeah.
And
And you had a couple of good top 10 finishes. That must have felt good to finally knock out those great finishes.
Yeah, it felt great.
What about you? Is there a weekend that you would say, hey, listen, that was my breakthrough? Or did you feel pretty good out of the gate? Because I don't know that you really had a major breakthrough weekend. You were able to avoid some incidents in one of the weekends to get some good results. Did you feel there was maybe a weekend that was kind of a breakthrough for you?
Probably Mid Ohio. I don't know. For me, that track really just clicked with me right away. I loved like the technical aspect of it, to where you had to have the car right in the right spot to be able to be quick around there. But yeah, my qualifying put in, I think it was like my fastest lap on the last lap, and actually ended up dropping a wheel going over the crest and spun sideways over the timing line.
Yeah.
And so I probably lost like 5 or 6 tenths off that, but still managed to qualify. I think it was like P10 or P9 or something. And I was like, all right, this is really coming together now.
Yeah. Good. All right, that's awesome. Where was the growth, Maddie? Let's start with you. What was the growth for you? Was it carrying more corner speed? Was it the braking? Where did you find that you made the big steps midway through the season? Comfortability in the car. What was the area of growth that you can point to where you really were able to move forward?
Yeah, I feel like something that I really needed to work on from the beginning of the season was like the throttle technique that I need to use to get on throttle sooner. The problem was like my braking was pretty good. It needed a little work, but it was just like I was waiting way too long to go on throttle, so that cost me a lot of time, but eventually like throughout the season, it got way better.
It's interesting. I've had discussions with drivers and coaches and talking about that, the transition from karting to cars, where it's so different. The braking and then getting off the brake and back on the throttle earlier is something you really had to kind of learn. You guys obviously didn't really, well, maybe Maddie a little bit, but Thomas, you didn't have to worry about getting rid of some of those go-kart habits coming into cars. Would you agree that braking and then rolling off the brake and getting back on the throttle earlier Is that like a really key component to a fast lap and growth as a driver?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's just like how precise with the brake you can be, dropping it off at the right part to be able to roll enough speed through.
What is there anything else that you kind of picked up on? What was when you were in the debriefs with the guys at D-Force and all the coaches that they have? What were they harping on you on?
Towards the beginning of the season, it was a lot of the racecraft, mainly like starts, restarts, just being able to get myself in there. Now, me and Simon Sykes have been working a lot on just like getting up to speed quicker within like the first like 1 or 2 laps, and then just rolling the speed through, getting that lateral G and getting to the limit of the tires.
Isn't that a comfort thing? I in the racing I've done, the coaches that have been talking to me, same thing, right? Out of the gate, you got to be one of those guys that's on the throttle, right? You got to get the tires up to temperature. You got to push hard. And, man, it's not easy though, is it?
Yeah.
It's you feel it's about confidence to a certain extent?
Yeah, I'd say a bit of confidence and just being able to have that mindset of, okay, like it's go time, put your foot down and get going.
Well, speaking of that, so Matt, let's go back to Road America with you and that great starting spot you have. What was that first run? Because, normally, like you said, you were qualifying a little further back. What was that first run down into turn number 1 like with the cars all around you, 3-4 wide after you'd qualified so well? You were up in the hunt at that point. How'd you feel through turn 1 the first time?
Yeah, it was a little scary at first, being in the middle of the pack, especially at this track. Yeah, it was a little scary at first, but I mean, with all the cars around me, I just I got a little used to it. And as you know, the drafting at Road America is like a huge difference. It's really important. So there was a lot of cars drafting past me, so I kind of got stuck being in the slower lane. But it was, yeah, I think it was good experience.
I was just going to say, it's all great experience, right? Great to be up there. Let's start working on 2026 right now. And for both of you drivers, it's new venues, which is very interesting. A lot of times, especially USF 2000, you'll kind of come back to the same venues. And really, the USF 2000 schedule for 2025, very similar to 2024, or rather 2026, very similar to 2025. Maddie, we'll start with you. Out of the gate, spring training now is going to become the opening rounds for USF Juniors. That must have put a smile on your face. Homestead's essentially kind of your home track. Yeah, you're from Ohio, but you do a lot of racing and testing at Homestead. You must feel pretty solid, pretty happy with the fact that you got 3 races out of the gate in the track you've got a lot of laps on.
Yeah, I think I was really excited when I saw that we're racing in Homestead. I'm just really confident with that track. I mean, it's great for passing, and I'm just really excited to start the year off there. Coming out of the spring training and where we just were in Homestead and Sebring, I think we're going to start the year off really strong at that track.
Have you tested it all at Kershaw? We're going to Carolina Motorsports Park as well in April. Have you been there before?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either. So that's interesting. You haven't been there. I doubt you've been up to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Canada, and I don't think you've been to Lime Rock either. So there's going to be a bunch of new tracks for you. Are you excited about that? Or Portland was rough last year, but really nobody's been there. You're going to get a test day at both of those tracks. Are you excited about brand new racetracks as well?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We have a lot of new tracks this year. I feel like not everyone has been to these tracks specifically, so it's going to kind of be new for most people, especially in USF Juniors. So I think everybody's going to kind of be at the same pace, picking up since they're new tracks, I feel like everybody's going to have to sort things out, but it's going to be exciting with the new tracks.
Kind of a level playing field, right?
Yeah.
I like that too. I think it's going to be really, it's going to put a kind of a wrinkle in some of these guys that have, or even teams that have lots of information on tracks that these guys don't have, because again, none of the juniors teams have been up at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Canada. So there's going to be a lot of work being done, I think, during the test day to try to figure things out. Thomas Nordquist, let's come to you because you go from juniors into USF 2000. It's a lot of new for you. You start the season off at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, so you're going to get your first street race. You're going to do another one later in the year at Markham. You get your first chance to actually race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the GP weekend. Plus, you get to go oval racing for the first time. The month of May is going to be wild. Let's start with street racing. What are your thoughts on going street racing at St. Petersburg?
I'm really excited for it. I've been doing a lot of prep for it. On Sebring was a big one, just learning all the bumps and stuff, and being able to kind of calm that down. And then just a lot of sim with Long Beach and different street circuits on that, getting used to like the walls and, trying to squeeze out every bit of time through there. So I'm really excited for St. Pete.
The cool thing is your team's got a lot of video you can watch from St. Petersburg. The big problem for everybody is there's no video at all for Markham. Markham is going to be really interesting, Brent, and it looks pretty fast. I've only seen a couple little things where people are kind of showing the track. What are your thoughts on that? Are you just going to go in blind and like, okay, let's be smart for the first session?
Yeah. I think it's definitely gonna be an interesting weekend for everyone since no one's gonna have any data, no video or anything like that. So I think first session, just go out, learn the track, learn where the grip is, where it isn't, passing, all that stuff.
Agreed.
And then try and bring the speed for the rest of the sessions.
And stay out of trouble. Please stay out of trouble in that first session. I want everybody to stay out of trouble. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You've been on the track for the fall combine, but when people start getting in there, when IndyCar gets there, what it's like to run an IndyCar weekend. You did so with a couple of juniors races. I got to expect you're super thrilled to finally get a chance to race across the yard of bricks.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one too. A lot of testing there. So I'm excited to finally get to be able to race on that track.
What are your thoughts on the track? It's one of those ones that's not overly technical, but there's a lot of places to overtake. 2 very long straightaways. You've been in the juniors car there. You've been in the 2000 car there. Your thoughts on the way the track races, track drives? Do you feel comfortable there?
Yeah, I feel very comfortable there. I think it's going to be a good race. I've watched the last 2 years of the racing there, and I think just got to get the braking and passing zones down, and it should be a good one.
I think watching the other races as well, I think that's a really good idea to kind of see how things played out, how some of the drivers approach different corners and when they were attacking. Last but not least, and Maddie's going to have to wait probably a year for this, but you're going to go oval racing for the first time. You go to IRP for the Freedom 75. You've done one test day. Just what's your impression of running on the oval? 5/8 mile, high banked, up against the wall. What did you think being at IRP?
It was really eye-opening. My coaches and stuff, they're all like, all right, let's take it slow, just get out there, get used to it. And went out there and I was, I think, like a second off the qualifying times from last year.
Okay.
And not even pushing it or anything. So, it was a weirdly comfortable for me. So I'm really excited for that race and being able to see, 20, 30 cars on that track at a time, all pushing their cars to the limit. It's going to be really exciting.
I love that line, weirdly comfortable. And you're right, because it's something I think you have to get used to. Maddie, you think you'll be doing some testing this year in preparation for 2027 on the oval?
I've already been to the oval once.
You already ran the oval already too?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. What did you think?
It was completely different from road courses. It was just it was insane how fast you go on that small oval in the Lucas Oil. It was just it was incredible.
I always, for me, it was always the fact that it's like 100% mental the entire time. Road America, it's such a long straightaway. You can take a deep breath. You can talk to the crew, whatever it may be. It just seems like it's nonstop focus. Is that the case with Maddie? Did you feel that? Did you feel like at the end of maybe your body's sore, but you feel like you were mentally tired as well?
Yeah, it was definitely tiring, both physically and mentally. It was just because there's only really it's just a circle, so you're just going same turn, and it's just you're going at it hundreds of laps, so many laps.
That's it, right? Yeah. So we got to throw in a couple things. Thomas, Jack Morhart said you were in the flow state at IRP. Does that feel about right? Were you in the flow state? Were you in the zone?
Yeah. I think it's definitely very mentally draining doing it. We did a couple race runs and stuff, and Simon was like, you're going to lose track of laps immediately. Yep. And, knowing me, I was like, okay, let me try and count it down so I have some perspective of where I'm at. And I think I got to 70 out of 75 just counting down, and I was already lost. I went around again. I was like, okay, what am I at now? 60 laps left,
That's
50
good.
laps.
Now, listen, we're getting a little insight here that Maddie's been in a USF 2000 car already. Have you got 6 days in the USF 2000 already, Maddie? That's from Zanella Racing. Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
All right. So you're already ready to go for 2027. I love that. That's good stuff. All right, let's, Thomas, I know one thing I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about was your X Cancer Foundation. I know that's kind of a really cool deal. Your dad and I spoke about it a little bit. Can you give us some insight in what you do with the X Cancer Foundation?
Yeah, so X Cancer is like the larger company in it. X Cancer Foundation is what I'm mainly a part of. The main thing is a kind of like a charity. In high school, I raised about $200,000 for a hospital in Africa.
Wow.
And they ended up graciously naming it after me, the Thomas Nordquist Cancer Hospital. And so that was pretty cool. So we've been doing a lot of work with them. And then there's also an orphanage near the hospital that we help with a lot. But then X Cancer in itself is my dad's company. They mainly help other cancer centers around the country get their patients onto trials and stuff like that. Because I believe it's only 5% of cancer patients around the world try out like cancer trials and stuff.
Interesting.
Which the trials themselves, they're free to the patients, and they kind of give like another pocket of treatments for the patients they're not FDA approved, but it's like another kind of treatment for them to have.
Well, an option, right? I know that so many, my family itself has been affected by cancer as well. My fiance is the same. So I understand that. Listen, that's a fantastic thing. Anytime we can have another option for treatment for someone suffering with cancer, I think that's a great thing. So yeah, that's a fantastic program for you. And that's something you continue and will continue to do.
Yeah. I want to take it as far as I go in racing and continue to kind of share the outreach of that program. Because like you said, like I think it's 2/3 of people around the world have either someone they know or like themselves affected by cancer. So it's a global thing, and just putting that outreach out there, you never know who will help.
Yeah, indeed. Anything we can do, obviously, to help with the awareness is fantastic. All right, let's start wrapping things up here. We're rolling into like past a half an hour. Maddie, is there one race in 2026 that you're looking forward to, most looking forward to? You're going to the home track at Mid-Ohio. You've got Homestead. You already talked about how much you love Road America. Is there a race in USF Juniors this year you're really looking forward to?
There's a lot of new tracks, especially like Lime Rock and then all the other tracks, but I'm looking forward to Mid-Ohio. I think it will be really fun, especially because I have a lot of experience now. So I think Mid-Ohio next year for 2026 is going to be like really exciting.
I love it. Any chance we see you in a USF 2000 car next year or this year too in 2026? A little taster.
We'll see.
I like it. Thomas, what about you? Is there an event, a track that you're really looking forward to? Is there one you can say, hey, I can't wait till we get there?
Probably just St. Pete and the Oval.
Yeah.
Getting St. Pete done early in the year, and then the Oval in May with the Indy 500 happening right after, and the Sonitso Grand Prix right before. It's gonna be great.
Month of May is always so good. Maddie, when are you back in the car? Do you know when your next test day is, Maddie? Did she lock up on us? I think she may have locked up. Thomas, let's come to you. When are you back in the race car?
I believe we do seat fit and stuff in first week of January, and then we'll be in South Carolina, I think second or third week of January, just doing some testing.
Plans for Christmas? Anything special?
Just hang out. Finally home after like a week and a half of traveling again. So just hang out, work out, be with family.
Good stuff. If people want to follow you on social media, where are you? Where are you most active? Is it Instagram? Where are you on social media? And what sponsors do you want to take a chance to mention?
Yeah, my Instagram is Thomas Nordquist 93, and then my TikTok is Nordquist Racing. Biggest sponsor is probably just X Cancer and X Cancer Motorsports. So shout them out.
Awesome, Thomas. Thank you so much. Maddie, what about you? Now you're back. Good to have you back with us here. First off, when are you back in the car?
I think we're back in the car for, I think it's January for the Y Academy Winter Series. We're testing there. I believe it's the Carolina Motorsports Park. So I think that's the next time I'm going in the car.
Yeah, sounds like you and Thomas a bit at the same academy deal. It's interesting because you guys say January, and I feel like that's a long way away. Then I remembered it's December 18th. It's literally 2 weeks away, right? Christmas is right around the corner. What about you, Maddie? Big plans for Christmas, or are we just hanging out with the fam?
Oh yeah, probably just staying home with my family for Christmas.
I think it's always the same thing. You guys are on the road so much, like I am, right? Going to races all weekend long or all year long. I've had a couple of shows already, and the guys are talking about the fact that you guys have been testing since the end of the season at Portland. So you guys have been on the road quite a bit. You're juggling school, so just a chance to maybe take a little breather and be at home. Maddie, what about you? Where do they want to follow you on social media? All the race fans.
Oh yeah, you can follow me at Maddie Colleran Racing. That's my Instagram account, and then yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That's it. You guys are all Instagram. Everybody's just focused on Instagram. I love it. What about sponsors? Do you have any sponsors you want to mention, or is it just mom and dad right now?
Yeah, I want to shout out Foundations Health Solutions, and then my other sponsor, Dealer Tire.
I love it. Good stuff, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much. Maddie, you're, of course, looking forward to spring training. I know Thomas will be there as well, but you're looking forward to spring training on February 16th to 18th. Triple header for USF Juniors on Maddie's one of her home tracks. She'll be ready to tackle that one against what we expect to be a grid of 20-plus drivers. Thomas, you got to wait a little bit longer. You're on track at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on February 27th to March the 1st. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to spend a little time here in the USF Pro Insider. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, but thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
You guys hang back in the studio. I'll chat with you a second. Let's wrap things up here. Two young drivers who have come through the USF Juniors program. Listen, I thought it was, wonder what Maddie Colleran is going to be doing. We already got a little bit of insight. She may even be in a USF 2000 car this year. She'll probably keep testing. And that's what a lot of these young drivers do. While they're in juniors, they test a 2000 car so they're ready to transition up the following year. And there are a couple of races this year where maybe a juniors driver late in the season could run 2000. We'll see if that plays out. Toronto being, or Markham actually being one of them. But great to have Thomas and Maddie joining me here on this edition of the USF Pro Insider. Again, next week, I have a show lined up for December 22nd, Monday. We're going to talk to two of the owners, D-Force Racing, Thomas's team. We're going to talk to David Martinez and Ernesto Martinez, talk about their team, the origin of it, kind of the culture under that team. They won a couple of championships in USF Pro Championships competition. So David and Ernesto joining me next week, and we'll keep talking to more drivers as we work our way through to spring training in February. We do want to thank Thomas and Maddie for being with us here today. Great young drivers working their way up the USF Pro Championships. And again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Folks, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.